will be talking on
Nahan, there is
employee
a still echo.
loyalty. Yeah?
There is a
Employee loyalty for job sustenance. When I say employee loyalty, if we look at the word loyalty, yeah, it is very different from the word loyalty. And this word is basically a word that I have created. Okay, I've created this word with a in between brackets. Okay, meaning to say employee loyalty does not mean you have to be loyal to your company, but to your job. Okay, so that is why I've created this word employee loyalty. It is basically referenced to one of my ebook, yeah, whereby I've written 15 ebooks to date. And this particular book, I think, was somewhere around the fourth or the fifth book. I wrote two books on this subject. One is Reality of Change, for which I have already given a few sessions earlier. So this is subsequent to that, okay, which is employee loyalty. When we say employee loyalty, people employee being loyal, okay, employee being loyal, we normally refer to people or employees who have been working for a long time in the company. Yeah, whenever they say, wow, I have been working for 20 years, the immediate response would be, oh my gosh, 20 years, you're so loyal to your companies. Okay, so that is actually a wrong assumption. Okay, long tenure does not provide enough sense of being loyal. Okay, we cannot be loyal to the company because we only work there 8 hours a day. Yeah. So when you work 8 hours a day, how can we say that we are being loyal to the company? It's not possible because I can only be loyal during the working hours. After that, am I still loyal to the company? No, right? So that's the reason why I've written this book. What do we mean by employee loyalty? Okay, it is not realistic for employees to be loyal to the company just because during bad times they stayed with the company. Yeah? It does not mean that they are being loyal. Okay. And talking about loyalty, there is a traditional loyalty. Okay. A traditional loyalty is basically if you are an employee and believe that your loyalty will be remembered by your employee when times are bad. Okay? You may want to be loyal to your employer, hoping that your job would be permanent, would be secured. Okay, but my question is, why on earth would you want to place your career decision entirely in the hands of someone else? Are you going to leave your entire future with your bosses or with your manager? Okay, there's no guarantee. What happens if the manager quits that company and goes to another company? How is he going to make sure that you will be retained? It's not possible, right? Okay. So in a traditional loyalty, we always say that we are working there for many years and such we are loyal to the company. But when speaking about loyalty in the world of turbulence, change, we know things are changing every time. Every now and then the world evolves, the business evolves, market expectation evolves. Yeah, there is a constant change. Okay, so in the world of turbulence, employee loyalty is to be dedicated to your job, no longer loyal to the company, but you have to be dedicated to be loyal to your job and career. When you are committed to your job, you will perform full-heartedly, yeah, because you're committed to the job. You love the job. You have the passion, and as such, you can perform with full-heartedly. Okay, how do people do that? Do your job and do it well. That is being loyal to yourself, not to the company. Right? Take pride in your work because it is your duty, it is your responsibility, it is uh, your wish that you want to improve in your workplace. Never stop learning. Okay. So in the world of turbulence change, we should never stop learning. It has to be a kaizen, continuous learning process must be there. Another thing is do not take risk at work to prove your loyalty to anyone for that reason. Okay, because it may come back to bite you. Again, let me repeat, yeah. Do not take risk at work. Okay, do not take risk at work to prove your loyalty to anyone for any reason, because it may come back to you to bite you. Okay, never believe someone who says, I will take you with me. Okay, I will take you with me. This is just a stupid statement which should not be believed. So, by doing so, you will eventually be rewarded and progress in the company. Okay. So now, for us to have employee a loyalty mentality, we need to prepare ourselves. How do we prepare ourselves? You need to accept the reality of change. Okay, you have to accept the reality of change and understand why people resist it. That awareness must be there. If that awareness is not there, then it is very difficult to prepare yourself. Because whatever we do in life or at the workplace, we must always prepare ourselves before executing it. Okay. So how do we prepare ourselves? First and foremost, we have to change our paradigm. Okay. To exist is to change. To change is to mature. And to mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. I repeat, to exist is to change. To change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself effective endlessly. Okay, this is a quote by Henry Bergson. Okay, we can take the horse to the river, but we cannot force the horse to drink the water unless the horse has a desire to drink. Likewise, we cannot accept change, although we have the knowledge and the skills, unless we have the desire to accept the change from within us. The change or the paradigm shift must come from within. It's called inside out process. Okay. As I said earlier, after discovering the reality of life and the awareness of the environment and what change expects, which is already explained in my earlier sessions, a paradigm shift is vital in preparing the employees a loyalty program. in order to sustain their job. Okay. In a layman's term, we describe paradigm as the way we see the world as it is and not how we see it. Okay. So that is what you call a paradigm shift. Okay. Uh, or in other words, a paradigm shift is realizing how we perceive a situation in the past to a situation that we want to see. Okay. Thus, paradigm shift will directly motivate us to shape our behavior. Without a paradigm shift, we are stuck with the old way of doing things. Okay. The old way of loyalty is I must work there for 20 years for me to be loyal. Now there's a paradigm shift. And for this, you have to shape your behavior. Okay, you have to shape your behavior. You will enhance your performance by constant hard work and excellent performance. Eventually, you will get your rewards for your excellence in your job or in whatever task you are given. There's a quote for this, yeah. If you want small change in your life, work on your behavior. But if you want a big and primary changes, work on your paradigm. This is a quote from Dr. Stephen R. Covey in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People book. The second preparation in order to be loyal to your work is there must be clarity in the vision and mission. Okay, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision and action can change the world. This is the quote from Joel A. Barker. Okay, so having a well-defined vision and mission statement changes nothing. Just by crafting a mission statement or a vision statement, it changes nothing. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. It is just in the paper for you to read. The exercise of crafting them is the complete waste of time and talent. If vision and mission statement are not clarified thoroughly. So what I'm trying to say is vision and mission must be clarified thoroughly. That is what I say. The topic, the headline is clarity on your vision and mission. Okay, so there must be clarity. Without a clarity, it just becomes a statement, and you will not buy in. Okay, you will not buy in. The third one is it has to be an inside-out approach. It has to be an inside-out approach. Okay, we understand the words immediately, but we don't understand the meaning even later. This is a quote by Dr. P.S. Jagadish Kumar. Okay, this quote actually hits right on the wall, on the nail. Sorry, it hits right on the nail. It is similar to I understood what you said, but I don't understand what I heard. Okay, because it is not an inside out approach. Okay, so you cannot harvest without sowing, right? That is the law of harvest. Likewise, you cannot change the desire to change coming from inside you. No one can force you or change you unless you have the desire within you that you want to change. Like in this case, you have the desire to have the employee a loyalty mindset to your job so that you can sustain your job. your employment. Okay. Okay. Next, we will go. How are we going to execute the employee loyalty? Just now, what you heard is how to prepare ourselves in order to be loyal to our job and not to the company, because it doesn't make sense for us to be loyal to the company. If you're loyal to your work, if you're loyal to the task you're given, directly you are also loyal, being loyal to the company. Yeah, but you must start from within you. Only then the outcome, the after effect will be you are also loyal to the company. But the key is not to be loyal to the company, but you have to be loyal to your career or to your job. Okay. Very often people ask this question: how can I be loyal to the company when I'm only working here for 8 hours? Well, just now earlier I mentioned the challenge here is not being loyal to the company, but being loyal to yourself, loyal to your job. The word employee loyalty, okay? The word employee loyalty refers to loyalty to the job assigned to employee. If I say employee, a loyal employee, obviously we will translate that, or we would interpret them as being loyal to the company. That is why I have created this word, a loyalty, which is not in the dictionary. So don't waste time searching for the word in the dictionary. It is a word I created, a loyalty, employee a loyalty. My purpose of creating this is to make sure the word a loyalty refers to your job and not to your company. Okay. So once you're loyal to your work, you become committed to your work. As a result of this, it will inevitably become loyal to the company. This is what bosses expect. Okay. Bosses of these days, they prefer employees who have the employee loyalty mindset. Okay. Change is so exponential. Okay. Exponential that your job will never be secured forever. That is the fact which I stressed many times in my earlier talk, reality of change and why employee resisted. Okay. So you need to work with full commitment and dedication better than others. This is the loyalty that we are referring to. Okay. You need to excel. You need to walk the extra mile compared to others. Okay. You need to work more for less, meaning it has to be more than the salary that you earn. Then only bosses will see a difference in you. Okay. You always need to feel uncomfortable of being comfortable. I like this term. Always feel uncomfortable of being comfortable. Why do I say so? Okay. The minute we fall in the comfort zone, what will happen? The minute we fall into the comfort zone, I would not want to change because I'm already comfortable. Why I want to walk the extra mile? Why I want to work harder? Why I want to put in more commitment? I'm already comfortable. So that is why in the turbulence change of in the world, okay, the new mindset of employees must be they must always feel uncomfortable of being comfortable so that they will constantly want to improve themselves. Okay. So it literally means follow my way or hit the highway. That is the trend of these days. Okay, you have to follow my trend. When I say you have to follow my way, it means the change expects you to do this. Employee loyalty expects you to do this. If you do not do this, you better hit the highway. Okay, you do not fit into this mindset. Okay, so having equipped with the paradigm shift, we are now ready to look for action plan, how we can perform so that we can improve our worthiness in our job. First and foremost, you must acknowledge change. As I said, change is inevitable. Okay. The most important thing to do when change is happening in the workplace is to acknowledge it, recognize it, and accept it. Change is one of the first steps towards managing our work style. Okay. If we are not prepared to acknowledge change, it is impossible for you to reciprocate what change accept. Okay, so it's very important. You must be able to acknowledge change. The second is be a rapid change artist. What do you mean by that? Rapid change artist. Time does not wait for us, my friends. Time never waits for us. 24 hours, that is it. It is not going to be 26 hours for you or 20 or 30 hours for Dr. Shabana or 35 hours for Rajvin. It's all fixed. 24 hours, period. Okay. If you want to keep pace with the demands of changes, always be a rapid change artist. Okay. And not just a change artist. The difference between a change artist and a rapid change artist is, or the logic behind this is, if you make the change at your own pace, okay, by the time you accept the change, there is already another change because change happens every now and then. It doesn't notify you. It doesn't say, oh, next year there'll be a change. No, when there is a change, it comes. So you have to act rapidly to make the change. Okay. You think you understand the situation. You think you understand the situation. But what you don't understand is that the situation has just changed. Think about it. You will accept this. Yeah. You think you understand the situation. You think you understand there's a change coming. But you don't understand. But what you don't understand is, okay, the situation has just changed because by the time you accept the change, the situation already changed. Third one is value add. Always add value to your service. Do not just do what is expected. Instead, complete it with excellence. For example, you are asked to do a report. Okay. If you want to add value, what would you do? You would attach some additional input. Okay, like an analysis or anything that your boss would appreciate. This is what we call value add. Prove your worth to the organization. Make a difference. Add enough value so that your boss will be happy with your performance. Wow, this guy, when I ask him this report, he submits with all the extra points. This is the person I need. You see, employee loyalty. You are not being loyal to the company, but you are loyal to your work. Okay. Make a difference. Add value so that others can feel the loss if you left. That should be the situation. Always make a difference. Add value to whatever you do so that others can feel if you are not there, if your presence is not there. They will be looking for you. That is what you call value add. Okay. The fourth is be a part of the change. Be a part of the change. Adopt an attitude of anticipation and excitement. Friends, see change as an opportunity, not as a problem. We should never look at a change as a problem. Rather, you should look at it as an opportunity. Get involved in the process and work teams. Be an influencer and the driver of change. This is what we call be part of the change. Okay. Next is think out of the box. If you ask me, I would say we should never think of the box. When I say think out of the box, is think beyond your perimeter. Okay. For example, you are in the accounts department. You are a staff in the accounts department, and your task is to maintain the accounts. And maintaining accounts, sometimes you need to interlink with other departments. So when I say think out of the box, do not only think the processes and the policies of accounts department, because accounts department also relies on other things. They may have their own SOPs. So you must be able to tap into that, go beyond, think out of the box. Okay, if it needs for you to meet the director, go ahead and do it, although it is out of the box. Okay, so it's very important for you to be loyal to your job. One of the tasks is you have to think out of the box. Okay, next is upskill your communication. A good rapport will make communication with people much easier. Okay, a good rapport will make communication with people much easier, and people would listen to your communication even during difficult situation. And if your rapport is good, people will trust you because you are a trustworthy person. If when you are a trustworthy person and you have a good communication skill, it is easy to get things done. Okay, it is much easier to get things done. What are the traits of effective communications here? Listen with the intent to understand and not to reply. Very often we see people listen with the intent to reply. When a child brings up his or her problem to the parents listen with the intention to reply, not with the intention to understand. That is why, in many cases, we see why our kids they do not open up to parents. The reason is because, excuse me, the reason is they know my parents listen to me just to reply me. And the parents also, when they know the style, the character of the child, before the child stops sharing the problem, the parents, the father or mother has already got the answer. That is why children nowadays, they prefer to talk to friends who are prepared to listen to them, to understand them. Next, while communicating, focus on the person and put aside all your other work. Sometimes we see when employees, when the staff want to go and see their bosses, their managers, knock the door, they go in. The boss is very busy doing some work. You say, okay, what's your problem? That's what he will say, but his hands are still writing something or he's still looking at something. Do you think you will have confidence? No. You know, my boss is not paying attention. Why should I open up to him? Okay. Next, Listen with your eyes, ears, and body language. Okay, that is why when when we communicate with a third party, we must always listen with our eyes, ears, and the body language. Our body language can tell many things about us. Okay, if I were to see a friend and I express my concern, the way he reacts, his body language, I will know already what kind of person is he. Okay, get the story right without any assumption. So never assume or interpret. When people come with a problem or with an issue, never assume or interpret until you get the story right. Get the confidence from the other party. Okay, so these are some of the up skills of improving your communication. Okay, next is manage your morale. Morale comprises of character, personality, and relationship. So, as an individual, for us to be loyal to the task that we are doing, we need to manage our own morale. That is, we need to manage our character, okay, manage our personality, and manage our relationship. Okay, character. Why is character so important in employee loyalty mindset? Okay, okay. Here to this statement here. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. said. Okay, I have a dream that my four children will one day be in a nation where they will not be judged by their color, their skin, but by the content of their character. See how powerful is character. What are the characteristics of a character? Okay, character is always unnoticed at the first sight. You cannot judge a person's character in the first meeting or in the next couple of meetings. It has to be sustained over a period of time for you to really understand the character of a person. Character is solid and unbreakable. If that is you, that is you. You cannot change. Okay? Character reflects the behavioral strength of a person. It also acts as a foundation towards your personality. It also helps in building trust level. That is what you call character. So actually, I can speak on this for a very long time, but due to the constraint in the timing, okay, I just give you the what do you call the brief information on what are all these things, because all these things helps in building a employee a loyalty mindset. Okay, the character of a person can only be revealed over time, though through habitual and consistent pattern of actions. Okay, you see how the person behaves over a period of time, only then you know the character. They are deeply rooted. They are long-term patterns of behavioral action, reaction, and compromise that become hard to fake. You cannot fake a character. Next is part of the character, part of the moral is proactivity. You must be proactive. Everyone must be proactive and do all they can to help themselves to stay employed. Repeat here. Everyone must be proactive and do all they can to help themselves to stay employed. This is another quote by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. Okay? Being proactive means taking conscious control over your life. You are the leader of yourself. You are not here to just take orders. Be proactive. You have the freedom to choose. Whatever you choose, you take responsibility. Okay? A proactive person does not mean giving everything. No. Proactive people can also say no. But whatever consequences, they are prepared to take responsibility. They won't blame another person because it is a result, is an outcome of their choice. Okay. Okay. Next is use of proper language. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Okay. Kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. This is quoted by Mark Twain. Okay. If we are reactive, we will be using language that usually absolves us from responsibilities. Reactive people would not want to take responsibility. They will pass the buck to another person, to others. So our language will suggest that we are the victims of situation, environment, or our conditioning rather than the feeling of being in control. Okay. Next is avoid bad mouthing. This is a very common habit. We love to gossip. We love to badmouth. In front, we say something. At the back, we say something bad about this person to another person. If this thing goes on, the outcome will be people will not trust us. People would not believe what you say. Even if you talk good about that person will think, this guy, I know him very well. In front, he say no, so nice about me. At the back, I'm sure he's going to screw me up. Yeah. So always avoid bad mouthing. Okay. Strong minds discuss ideas. Strong mind discuss ideas. Okay. Average mind discuss events. And a weak mind discuss people. So if you are bad mouthing, you are a weak person. You have a weak mind. Okay? So if you have a strong mind and someone annoys you, then you will most likely confront him. A strong mind people, yeah. If people annoys you, you will most likely confront him directly. If you have a weak mind, you will not have the courage to confront him. Hence, you will talk at the back to others. Okay. Whenever we sit in a group and chit chat with our friends, we often target those who are not present. We talk about our absentee friend. That is common. Okay. So, if you are thinking of employee loyalty mindset, you have to avoid all this. Yeah, you have to avoid all this. Keep your promises. Okay, don't make promises that you cannot keep. Okay? We all have moments when we make a promise to someone, but we cannot keep it for a variety of reasons. The most common reasons why we cannot keep to our promise, there are three factors. There are three main reasons why we cannot keep our promise. Okay. The person to whom the promise is made is not really a priority. So we tend to break the promise. Second is the person making the promise is trying to please too many people at once, perhaps just to impress them. Again, this will be a failure. The third the promise itself is not perceived as important enough to be kept. Okay? So these are the three main elements that usually people tend not to keep the promise. Other than this, you must always maintain whatever you say, you must do it. Only then you will earn trust. You see, I've mentioned the word trust many times. The word trust is very important in our life. Okay? And trust also brings us to a next step, that is to execute with integrity. If we have a good character, if we have a good relationship, if you are able to keep to your promises, if you are able to be proactive, then you have all the reason why you will execute with integrity. It is true that integrity alone will won't make you a leader, but without integrity, you will never be one. This quote is given by Zig Ziglar. Okay, plan your work using a proper planner. Prioritize your schedule. Don't prioritize your time, but prioritize your schedule. Focus on what matters most, that aligns you to your vision. Okay. Of course, the last one is personality. Personality. Okay. You must, as much as character is important, personality is equally important. Character cannot be seen, but personality can be seen. Okay. It is external. Personality is external. Character is internal. What is internal cannot be seen as much as personality, which is external. Personality is the first impression of how people perceive you. Okay? Personality with character will make you a better person. And with all these traits, I am sure we can always have the mindset of being uh, employees a loyalty, a loyalty, employee a loyalty. So this is a new term. I think all of you would have heard first time. Okay, a loyalty is different from loyalty. Okay, because it is, if you really look at it seriously, if you study it deeply, the two has got vast difference. So when I say a loyalty, it always refers to yourself, to your work, to your task, to your career, as opposed to employee being loyal. When we say employee being loyal, you always reflect it, uh, translate it to be loyal to the company, to be loyal to your parents, to be loyal to this, to be that, you know. So here I'm talking employee loyalty for job sustenance. If you want to sustain your job, you have to have this mindset of employee loyalty, which I hope you would have garnered some key points from my talk a while, now, and I hope you can also advise to your children, or if you are in case you're working, you can explain to your staff, to your other friends, how to have the employee a loyalty mindset. So with this, okay, as much as I've said all this, of course, along this line, it's very difficult for us to follow it 100% because we have got so many other things and we are often bogged down with our stress, too much work to do, just cannot focus. Our mindset is not ready to accept all this. So for which my partner, Rajvin, who is an expert in laughter yoga, will link how laughter yoga can help everyone to overcome their stress level, to overcome their emotions, to overcome the negative situation, to turn it to a positive energy for us to focus. With that, I would like to hand over to Rajvin. Rajvin, back to you, Rajvin. You need to unmute.
Yeah, Rajvin, unmute.
Okay, thank you, Nahan, for giving us thank you, Shabana, and thank you, Nahan, for uh a wonderful explanation on employer loyalty. Thank you, Shabana, for this opportunity, and thank you, Mavin team. So so before I begin, I would like to uh, invite everyone to um, close your eyes, try to think of nothing, and we talking about this topic on employer loyalty. So when was the last time you ever loyal to yourself or to your em, employee? So employer loyalty is being loyal to yourself. So in order to perform very well in an organization, you need to be loyal to yourself and loyal to others. So make a promise to yourself that you be loyal to yourself and others without hesitation, without judgments, and whenever you're ready to begin your quest, which we will talk shortly on employer loyalty. So you may now open your eyes and ha 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 ha. That was a short meditation on employer loyalty. So thank you everyone thank you everyone for enjoying the meditation. Now I will do one laughter exercise before I share something and open the floor for Shabana to ask us question and answer, and then we will see you all twice in 2 weeks. So for this topic, um laughter yoga has four steps: clapping, breathing, childlike play, laughter exercise, and silence. But for this topic, employer loyalty, okay, we will have one laughter exercise, which is um appreciate yourself as you are and others. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So that was laughter yoga exercise. Now, getting down to our topic, I would like to give you insight. Special thanks to Mavin team for inviting us to speak on employer loyalty and laughter yoga. How does what is employer loyalty? Employer loyalty begins when you are loyal to yourself and loyal to your employee, loyal to your employee and loyal to yourself means loyal to yourself. And why do we need employee loyalty? Means you're not only why do we need employer loyalty is to gain confidence in gain confidence with your organization and yourself that you are going to be sustained in the organization. So how does laughter yoga connect to employer loyalty? Is it brings together teamwork when when people see you happy, they can people see you happy, you would want to stay in the organization more longer, and you would want to bring teamwork. When people are frowning, you also frown with them. That means when people um have a, a problem, they take it out on you, you also feel down. So in this way, laughter yoga and employer loyalty plays an important role because it can gain trust, and uh, it can gain it can gain uh, people can be trustworthy towards us. So so in an organization, whether it's yours for yourself or for others in your organization, loyalty and laughter yoga uh, works hand in hand as a social connector, improves work culture, improves uh, vulnerability, reduces tension for the whether you're individual employer or whether you're a group employer. Try not to stress your employee out because they are working very, very hard to achieve their dream. So therefore, laughter yoga and employer loyalty is very, very important for good health and happiness. Thank you. And I would like to open the floor for question and answer for me and Mr. Nahan, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajvin. Thank you, Nahan. Nahan, I have also a question for you, and maybe Rajvin can also contribute. So now these days we hear from organizations, so they struggle with the, you know, to because the meaning of loyalty can differ from generation to generation as well, and Gen Z has very little attention span, so sometimes they struggle to, find contextualize what do they mean versus how long they can work, Gen Z can work, and all of it. So such kind of conflict occurs. So what are your suggestions?
Well, I think what you say is absolutely correct. That is the situation these days. Those days different, but now things are and very different. But we cannot compare because those days we were brought up in a different environment. These days, children are exposed to too many things. So their expectation, they actually have got a very high expectation, not like the baby boomers or the Gen X and so forth. Yeah. So what people of this generation expects is to them they are not. I mean, if they are fresh graduates, they are basically out there just to look out for money. Yeah. That is why nowadays when they go for interview, very often you see instead the employee interviewing them, the employees will interview the employer. I very, I remember very clearly when I was in India, I used to interview for executives, So they always tell me, sir, if you want me to work, these are my expectations. I want this much. So of course, being a interviewer, I try to be very polite. I'll tell her, yes, I agree to your concern. What assurance would you give if I were to give you a higher amount? They will tell you, I can't promise. I'll try my best. So I have to tell them,
Yeah.
I am prepared to give you much more than what you ask if you produce results. But at the same token, you must also be willing to take the consequences. What if you cannot make it? Are you able to what do you call take the consequences? Or they say no, I cannot take the consequences because this is a market for employees. We employees will, if you don't give me this, sorry, I cannot take up this opportunity, and so they move on. Unless if employees they have been working there for some time, especially if they are above 40, then their mindset is different. It's more family centered
Yeah.
employees. So for these people, they want sustenance in their job employment. They want to secure their income so that they will not find any what you call difficulties. Yeah. So these are the kind of people where they would need to have the employee loyalty mindset, which is very important these days. I'm sure many of them they are still confused. Employee loyalty and employee being loyal. Yeah. So this distinction, this distinct differences must be we must create the awareness to people out there to understand what do you mean by employee loyalty compared to employee being loyal. They must know this. If you are employee being loyal, you are controlled by your employers. You have to do what they say. This is where a lot of stress. People get stressed, then the 3S strikes. Stress, strike, and stroke. But if the individual have got an employee loyalty mindset, things will be different because it is something they want themselves. Yeah, especially if they don't have the fund to start their own business. They still need to work. Yeah, they still need to be employed. So they must have this employee loyalty mindset in order for them to work in peace and harmony without stress. Of course, stress will never eradicate, but at least you can control whatever situation you're able to control. So this is what we need to create the awareness out there. Not only in one country, I think worldwide, internationally, especially after COVID-19, things have changed a lot. Market demand is so different. Market changes every now and then. The demand changes. So we have to adapt change. That is why my earlier talk and this talk has got connectivity. You cannot miss either one. Yeah, you must know what is change, and you must know the employee loyalty mindset. I hope I've given you
Yes.
clarity.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe before hiring, you should be clear. So I think it is for both the employers as well as employee to be,
Employees, yes, correct.
both need to be aware of what
Yes,
employee loyalty, and we
yes.
should know each other's loyalty as well.
Of
So
course,
that
of course.
man, you can
Mm,
control the damage.
exactly, I agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nan, for explaining this.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shabana.
Yeah, thank you. So, Rajvin, do you want to add, or we can close?
Um, I think employer loyalty will only happen if the employer brings joy to the organization. Because when you laugh, you change. But when you change, the whole world changes with you. Especially when you change with when you change with laughter and a beautiful smile. I would agree with that.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajvin, for bringing laughter to the whole story. And it really works because sometimes people see these topics as serious, like,
Yes.
very serious topic, and suddenly you bring laughter to it, which really makes it more ease to the whole situation. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Rajvin. Thank you so much, Nahan. And it was really wonderful to listen
Well,
to.
2 weeks time. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you.